As highly requested, I'm back surviving another 100 days inside of Minecraft. In the last video, we managed to kill the Ender Dragon, nearly get a full set of netherite armor, and also explore deep into the end cities. This time, it's solo. The goal for these 100 days are to kill the Wither, defeat the Elder Guardian, and to fully explore a woodland mansion. If you didn't watch the first 100 days on this world, in the top right of your screen, you can go watch that to get a bit more context on what's going to happen over these next 100 days. Once again, this video has taken 33 hours to record. 100 days is 33 hours. A lot of time, so any support would be greatly appreciated. So, I woke up on day 101, still with the Curse of Binding chestplate attached to my body. On the last day of the previous video, I accidentally applied an Unbreaking 3 Curse of Binding diamond chestplate to myself. This means I cannot use elytras or even apply a netherite chestplate at all, either until it breaks or until I die. Anyway, to get started on this day, I decided, because of the advancements I was going to make over the next 100 days, I thought it'd be a good idea to extend the house, so I started off by gathering resources for the extension. Terraformed a piece of land so I could build on it. As I finished the terraforming, day 101 had ended, so I went to bed to carry on with the extension in the morning. These next 2 days, I managed to get the outside walls of the extension complete. After completing the outer walls, I then decided to move some things around to fill in the new space I had. I moved all the armor stands into one room and aligned them in 2 rows on either side. I then moved the furnaces downstairs and did some chest adjustments. Once I woke up on day 108, it was time for me to set out on the first huge adventure. The goal for this adventure was to possibly find an ocean monument or a woodland mansion, but if not, I thought it'd be a good idea to take all of my emeralds, just so if I did bump into a cartographer villager along the way, I could trade for a map to locate those locations. On my adventure, I did manage to stumble across many villages, including the one we went to after leaving the Nether last episode. Whilst I was out, I also managed to find the 2 dogs I'd tamed, which for some reason last episode didn't decide to teleport to me, so I got reunited with the 2 dogs I tamed. As I was passing through one of the villages, I stumbled across a fox, and still to this day I have no idea how to tame them. As I was approaching the fox to tame it, I heard a hiss behind me, and to my shock, I turned around to both of my dogs being exploded by a creeper. Anyway, as I explored further into the distance, I still found nothing. There was nothing. I couldn't see any sort of structure in sight. So instead of adventuring any further, because I had a full inventory, I decided to head back home to drop off the loot and to make another plan on how I was going to find this woodland mansion. Between day 112 and 113, I didn't really come up with a half-decent plan. So, on day 113, I got my gear back and I decided to head back out on an even bigger adventure, way further into the distance. So I got some better armor, crafted a lot more food, and crafted myself a crossbow that I enchanted and ended up getting some really good enchantments on. I then headed back off into the same direction I'd originally gone because I had a feeling that I was going to bump into something. On this adventure, I stumbled across my first pillager outpost, killed everyone around it, and took everything they owned. Miles into the distance, I was still travelling. At this point, I had been through a load of day cycles. As I was thinking of turning back, I saw a desert village in the distance, so I decided to head there just in case there was a cartographer there with a woodland mansion map on sale. I arrived at the village and to my surprise, there was a cartographer. with a level 2 trade of some sort of map. So I took the time to trade with a farmer to get what I thought was enough emeralds to upgrade the cartographer's trade level so I could possibly get a map. But unfortunately, I ran out of wheat, meaning I couldn't get enough emeralds to raise the cartographer's trade level. My thought process at this point was, because there was a villager possibly trading a woodland mansion map, that maybe I was close to one. So I adventured another couple hundred blocks into an acacia biome until I stumbled across a cliff leading into an ocean. At this point, I decided that I'd travelled enough, and it would be a good idea to travel home. So, once I made it back to the house, I decided to gather my thoughts back on how I would find this mansion, because right now, we're on day 118, and there's no sign of one anywhere. The next day, I decided to try again, and this time, I wouldn't stop exploring until I found the mansion. So, I stocked back up on food, and headed in a different direction. On my adventure, I went through an amazing looking tundra biome. I wandered past a huge waving ravine. I'd never actually seen this type of ravine before. I went through an extreme hill jungle biome with these massive jungle trees. Through a bamboo forest. And then I found a jungle temple that had really bad loot, so that was a bit of a waste of time. A few minutes later, I was sailing across a huge ocean, still no sign of a dark oak forest. I'd gone so far at this point, there was no point turning back until I actually found the mansion. Around day 125, whilst I was on my adventure to find a woodland mansion, I stumbled across an ocean monument, which is one of the things I have to complete during these 100 days. So, I thought I had a slight chance in beating and killing the Elder Guardian, not really understanding how the ocean monuments worked. But, once I dived down into the monument, I realised that maybe I should give it a go another day. Anyway, as the sun was rising on day 126, I was still sailing across the biggest ocean, in hope for a woodland mansion. Around midday, I finally found land, so I had higher hopes of finding the mansion. So I ventured through a savannah village, taking all of their food to keep me going for however long this adventure was going to be. As I explored thousands more blocks, I finally stumbled across a dark oak forest, so my hopes were really high at this point. So I climbed the tallest tree I could find, but still nothing. No mansion was to be seen. On day 133, I was still exploring. I was nearly 40,000 blocks away from my house. And once again, as I sailed ashore, I found another dark oak forest. So I explored through the forest, climbed up the tallest tree I could find, and there it was, in the distance, 40,000 blocks away from my house, a woodland mansion. I made my way over to the mansion to realise that there was a pillager outpost next to it, so I thought it'd be a good idea to take out the pillager outpost and have the tower as some sort of safety location, just in case things get dangerous inside. I've never really fought a woodland mansion. I don't really know how they work, so if I die, my loot will forever be gone. So, as I entered the building, my plan was to loot each floor, starting with the first, then the second, and then finally making my way to the third floor, which is actually saying that out loud, it's quite obvious. Whilst I was looting, I found there's some weird rooms inside the mansion. There was a room with a massive cat in it. I found a boxing ring. A room full of dark oak saplings. And a chest room with dozens of empty chests. I must say my expectations for this was that I would maybe have a slight challenge, but no, I think I encountered around 10 enemies the whole time. Other than that, I was really disappointed with the mansion. Seems as I had travelled nearly 40,000 blocks away from my home. This would have been way easier if I had elytra, but I made that vital mistake at the end of the last episode. These painful days consisted of me travelling home. I tried to stick to the oceans because when you're in a boat you travel a lot faster than on foot, and you also don't lose any hunger. So for a large majority of the journey home I sailed. Day 145 was a very peaceful day. Due to the fact I'd literally spent the longest time traveling, I spent all of this day fishing to try and get name tags for a future project. So I enchanted a fishing rod with a level 30 enchant and got very lucky with the 3 enchants that ended up on it. With my enchanted fishing rod, I headed down to my pond and spent the rest of the day and most of the night fishing. Throughout this process, I managed to only, unfortunately, get 1 name tag, but I did get 2 saddles, a few more good enchanted fishing rods, and the best thing possible at this time was a Respiration 3 book. If you don't know what Respiration does, basically it allows you to breathe underwater for a lot longer. And because our next goal is to defeat the Elder Guardian and go to a ocean monument, this enchantment was very useful. So I decided to stop fishing, head back into the house, crafted a new diamond helmet, and by the time I'd finished enchanting and upgrading it, it had Aqua Affinity and Respiration 3. So I was fully ready to go to the ocean monument. Day 145 to 150, I spent these 5 days looking for an ocean monument. So I went in a different direction. I decided to look for the ocean monument a lot off camera because I know travelling is very boring to watch. So I managed to find one a couple thousand blocks away from the house. To my knowledge, I thought there was only 1 Elder Guardian in each monument, but I was soon to find out that there was 3. So the first thing I did was take out the 1 Elder Guardian I was aware that was at the location, but I could still hear more Elder Guardians, so I found a second and a third. The reason I decided to go for these 3 kills first was because the mining fatigue effect is the worst effect in the game. It lasts forever, and it takes forever to mine. After losing all of my breath a couple times and nearly drowning, I then decided to sit in my boat and wait for the mining fatigue effect to go away. After nearly 5 minutes, the effect finally went, so I went back into the monument to gather all of the sponge that I had located. Luckily, it was really close to the entrance. I had no trouble finding it. After killing and collecting everything I needed from the monument, I headed back to my boat and sailed home. This ocean monument was a lot more of a challenge compared to the woodland mansion, but there wasn't really much to it. You killed the guardians, then you got the sponge. To save your time, I skipped out a lot of this travel. So here we are. We're back at home. Once I was home, I headed down to my furnaces and smelted all of the wet sponge. I don't think I'll ever use sponge, but it might come in handy at some point. As day 150 was ending, I headed to sleep to start on another goal in the morning. When I woke up on day 151, we were just over the halfway mark. On this day, I decided to go to the Nether to start on the final main goal of these 100 days. I thought, if I can get all these 3 goals done, then I'll have so many days left to do whatever I want. So, I decided to de-enchant my sword and re-enchant it in hope of looting 3, which, shockingly, that's exactly what I got. A looting 3 netherite sword. Now that I had looting 3, getting these wither skulls would be a lot easier. After getting that enchantment, I didn't decide to go to the nether yet. I spent the rest of the day not really doing much. Anyway, day 152 through 158, I spent all of my time in the nether, gathering wither skulls and items so I could start brewing. I got quite lucky with my first wither skull drop, because at the time I had only killed around 3 wither skeletons, so I thought that this process would be quick, but I was wrong. After exploring more of the nether fortress, finding quite a few chests, I then decided to head back to the original part of the fortress. But when I arrived back, there were dozens of enemies waiting. Luckily, as I powered through them, I killed 2 wither skeletons back to back that both dropped wither skulls. So now that I had enough to spawn the wither, after getting all 3 wither skulls, I headed back to the portal so I could start my planning on how I was going to kill the wither, because in the past, I haven't had the best of experience with him. Day 159, I decided that potions would be necessary to help me fight the wither. After 8 years of playing Minecraft, I still don't know anything about alchemy or brewing, so I decided to make a nether wart farm down at the bottom of my base. I spent all of day 160 doing nothing until the night where I started to learn how to use the brewing stand and what items make what potions. For fighting the wither, I thought that strength potions and healing potions would be the most useful. As the potions were brewing, the night of the 160th day was coming to an end, and the sun was rising on the 161st day. With these potions I had brewed, I was almost done with the setup to fight the wither. So the morning of the next day, I decided to enchant a bow. I didn't get the best enchantments, so I took it to the grindstone. Once again, I didn't get the best, so I resorted to merging the bow I had on me with a near broken enchanted bow that I had in my chest. The rest of the day, I decided to head down to the mines to get a few more diamonds because I wasn't yet ready to fight the wither. I spent the night of the 161st day and the whole of the 162nd day in the mines, and to my amazement, I found so many diamond veins. I don't think I've ever been this lucky with diamonds. The only issue with finding all these diamonds is I wasn't really paying that much attention to what was going on around me. And I may have fallen into lava a couple times, but luckily, my armor saved me. As the night of the 162nd day was upon me, I decided to head to sleep so in the morning I could fight the wither. From my past experience with the wither, he's not easy to kill at all. I do remember there being a glitch where you could trap the wither under the bedrock of the end portal. So instead of fighting him properly, I decided to head to the end to see if the exploit still worked. I reached the end, built the frame underneath the portal, spawned the wither in, to find out the exploit didn't work anymore. So I was left to fend from a wither as he flew around the end, exploding everything in his path. After a few shots, I decided that he was dealing way too much damage and I should have bought buckets of milk to get rid of the wither effect. Because there was conveniently the end portal I could jump into to escape the wither, I decided it would be sensible to leave the wither flying around the end. Here is the biggest mistake I've made yet. Luckily, because this isn't hardcore, the world is still here. Because if it was hardcore, the past 165 days would literally have gone in seconds. Because of my death, I dropped everything that was on me. So at this moment, I realized something amazing had happened. Because I died, the curse of binding chestplate that I had accidentally put on me at the end of the last episode was gone. I finally had access to elytras again. Day 166 to 171, I spent these 5 days gathering resources to extend on my house once again because I realised that I was yet to have a pet horse. So I built a barn and decorated the surrounding area with a bit more greenery. Getting the area to look nice was one goal that I wanted to keep consistent throughout the whole 200 days. So yeah, I took a lot of time to make the place look quite nice. On day 172, I finally used the elytras again. I headed up the water elevator and flew into the plains biome near our home to try and find a horse. Luckily, as I was landing, 3 horses spawned directly beneath me. So I tamed one of them. And rode the horse home. And I decided to name him... Yeah, there. Now that I had a horse, and I'd defeated a woodland mansion, an ocean monument, and the wither literally completely destroyed me, I decided to set my focus on another project. The night of the 172nd day to midday on the 180th day, I decided that it was time for a villager breeder. I didn't know why I was going to build one, I just thought that it might come in handy in the future. If I ever decided to build a trading post or any sort of auto farm that required villagers. Anyway, so I started off by terraforming the land across the river so I could fit a building on the land. I then built a bridge connecting my house to the location of the villager breeder. And then built the building that would hold all of the villagers. Now that the villager breeder was done, it was time to actually obtain the villagers. So my plan was to transport the villagers from the village into the end, back out of the end, and then into the villager breeder. Day 181, I made my way back to the village that had the stronghold underneath it. But to my surprise, there was yet another raid going on. So we had another roadblock. I had to sort this raid out first. This took all day and all night. Now that that was out of the way, day 182, I made a tunnel going down to the end portal, into the end, and then back through the portal to get back home. So with the tunnel finally done, it was now time. Day 183 to 190 to start transporting the villagers to their new home. I made a minecart track going all the way through the village, down to the end portal, through the end, from the world spawn, back to my house. The struggles I went through with the villagers was ridiculous. One, they didn't want to go in the minecart. And two, they kept on going backwards on the rails. Anyway, to reduce boredom, here they both are in the villager breeder. The next day, I spent all of my time upgrading the capacity of the villager breeder by adding more beds and composters. But even after doing that, I still don't think it worked. So if you know what I've done wrong, please let me know in the comments. I don't know what I've done wrong. I've done it like this before and it perfectly worked. Day 191 to day 192, I didn't really do much. Today I decided to do a bit more fishing at my pond because I still needed a few more name tags for a small weird project that I just wanted to complete. So I sat at the pond for the day and got, once again, Nothing. Because I wasn't getting very lucky with name tags from normal fishing, I decided to make myself an auto fishing farm at the bottom of my base. Yes, I used a guide, because for some reason, AFK fishing on Bedrock works way more different compared to Java. You have to make a full-on pond to AFK on Bedrock. Anyways, I got the AFK fishing farm complete, so I sat AFK fishing for around 15 minutes. I didn't expect loads from this, but I thought I may get a few name tags. As I returned to my PC 15 minutes later, so I checked the loot chest, and I got barely anything. I did manage to get one name tag from it, so now I could do the one project that I've wanted to do for a while, which is to make more iron golems and give them the best names. Because these were the last 2 days I had left, I decided not to start any more projects. I didn't really want to start on anything just in case I didn't finish it in the 200 days. So, I spent the last 2 days flying around with the elytras. I crafted a few more rockets, and I flew around what I'd achieved over the past 200 days. Obviously, we'd gotten one death, which is so irritating, but one death in 200 days isn't too bad. Obviously, this isn't supposed to be hardcore. There was quite a few people in my last video saying, "Oh, this isn't hardcore, this isn't hardcore." And I know it's not hardcore. It's not supposed to be. Anyway, so I spent the final few minutes on this world, flying around, looking at everything that we had built and achieved over the past 200 days. We're done. Day 200 has finished. If you didn't watch my first 100 days in this world, there will be a link to it up in the cards. If you did enjoy, any support is greatly appreciated. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers. If you would like to help us reach that goal, that would be great. I do stream every Tuesday and Friday. If you would like to tune into those, I also upload new Minecraft videos every Thursday. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for your time. If you would like to see any of my other Minecraft videos, click the videos up on your screen now. Thanks for watching. Bye.